Let me start with a truth that's often ignored. It's not your education. It's not how many followers you have. It's who you are when no one's watching. That's what really matters. It's your character, and it's your integrity. Because success built without integrity is like a house built on sand. It may look impressive, but give it time, it won't last. See, the marketplace will reward you for your skill, but life will reward you for your character, your word, your values. The decisions you make when no one's watching, that's what determines if success sticks or slips. Now, I know the world is fast and loud, and it's constantly trying to convince you that image matters more than substance. But I'm here to remind you, character is the real wealth. And integrity, that's your invisible currency. It buys you trust, respect, and peace of mind. So in this video, we're not talking fluff. We're going to break down step by step how character and integrity shape not just your success, but your legacy. Let's start with the foundation. Let me tell you a story years ago. I was working with a man who was making great money. I mean, really great money. He had the cars, the suits, the spotlight. From the outside, he looked like a success story. But inside, he was cutting corners, bending the truth, making deals that were good for his pocket but bad for his soul. And I remember one day I asked him, "Do you ever sleep well at night?" He paused, looked down, and he said, "Jim, the money's good, but the silence is loud." You see, there it is. The first principle: character will speak louder in silence than your achievements ever will in noise. You can fool the world for a while, but you can't fool yourself. And that's where it begins. With you, your internal scoreboard. Now, let me tell you this. Success is not something you pursue. It's something you attract by the person you become. And the person you become, that's shaped by your character. It's built through little decisions, small acts. Every day, you show up on time. That's character. You finish what you start. That's character. You do what you said you'd do, long after the mood you said it and has left you. That's integrity. Now, people ask me, "Jim, how do I become a person of character?" I tell them start with this one word: honesty. Be honest with others. Yes, but even more important, be honest with yourself. Be honest about where you are, what you're avoiding, and what kind of person you're becoming. Because here's the deal, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. And if you're faking it for too long, you start forgetting who you really are. Let me tell you, there's no freedom like the freedom of a clear conscience. You sleep better. You walk taller. You speak with conviction. Because you know, you're living true to your values. Let's talk about the invisible rewards. Integrity is not about applause. It's not about likes. It's not about who's watching. It's about doing the right thing, because it's the right thing, even if it costs you something. And often, it will cost you short-term loss, short-term rejection, short-term discomfort. But in the long term, it builds something priceless: reputation. Now don't confuse. Reputation is what people think of you. But character, that's what you think of you. And you have to live with you. One last point before we close this first part. Character and integrity, they don't shout. They don't show off. They don't chase attention. They quietly build, they steadily grow, and one day, when the storms come, they hold you up. Because you built on rock, not on sand. Remember this quote, Egg? The walls we build around us to keep out the sadness also keep out the joy. So don't build walls of lies or shortcuts or half-truths. Build bridges with honesty, humility, and honor. The power of character and the strength of integrity, that's the kind of success worth building. Because that success, it doesn't just look good, it feels good. And that's the goal. Let me share something simple but powerful. Your life doesn't change in a day, but it does change daily. Character isn't something you're born with. It's not written in your DNA. It's written in your decisions. The small ones, the quiet ones, the ones nobody ever claps for. You see, every day you're faced with a choice. to do what's easy or to do what's right. And that's the battle, the daily battle that defines you. I remember a mentor once told me, Jim, integrity is not doing the right thing once. It's doing the right thing every time. Let that sink in, because you won't build character on accident. It's not automatic. It's intentional. It's built when you decide, I'm going to follow through, even when you're tired, even when it's hard, even when no would blame you for quitting. Now, the world will try to sell you shortcuts, quick wins, cheaper paths. But let me ask you, what's the cost of that shortcut? Because while the world might not see the compromise, you do. And if you keep trading what's right for what's easy, you lose a little piece of yourself. One excuse at a time, one broken promise at a time, one miscommitment at a time. Discipline is the bridge between goals and accomplishment. You've heard me say that. And guess what? Character walks across that bridge every day. You want to be respected. Be dependable. You want to be trusted. Be consistent. You want to be admired. Be someone who shows up every day with integrity in your hands and honesty in your heart. Let me give you a real example. A young man came to me once and said, Jim, I want to be a leader. I want to influence people. I said, good, but before you lead others, can you lead yourself? He looked puzzled. I said, can you keep promises to yourself? Can you do what you said you would do, long after the mood you said it in has left you? Because if you can't lead you, you'll never lead them. And leadership, that's just character in public view. You see, success is not built by giant leaps. It's built in the daily grind, the alarm clock at 5 a.m., the extra 10 pages you read, the decision to tell the truth when a lie would be more convenient. Character isn't a one-time event. It's a habit. It's who you are when the pressure's on. When money's tight, when no one's watching. Let's talk practical. You want to build character. Here are 3 things you can do starting today. 1. Keep your word. If you say it, do it. Simple but rare. People remember those who follow through too. Tell the truth, not just the convenient truth, but the whole truth, because half-truths, they're still full lies. 3. Take responsibility. No excuses. Own your results, the wins, and the losses. Because when you own your life, you own your power. I'll tell you what I've learned after all these years, self. Success will test your talent, but adversity will test your character. When the deal falls through, when the audience leaves, when the applause stops. Who are you then? Because that's who you really are, and that's who you take with you to every room, every meeting, every relationship. Don't wait for a crisis to check your character. Build it now. In the quiet, in the ordinary, in the unnoticed. Because when your moment comes, and it will come, you won't rise to the occasion. You'll fall to your level of preparation. Build yourself to be ready. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And the person you become, that's not built in a day. It's built daily. So make those small decisions count. Be faithful in the little things. Because they're not little. They're defining you. Let me tell you something I've learned over the years. Trust is earned, not given. And it's the real currency of life. Not dollar status. Not likes, shares, or applause. Trust. That's what people bank on. That's what opens doors. That's what keeps relationships strong long after the talent fades. And here's the truth. You don't demand trust. You build it, brick by brick, word by word, choice by choice. The marketplace might pay you for your skill, but people, real people, they follow those they can trust. Because while skill impresses, character reassures. And in a noisy world filled with fast talkers and empty promises, the rarest thing you can offer is something solid. Trustworthiness. Let me tell you what I've discovered. You can be brilliant, sharp, polished. You can even fool people for a while with charm and confidence. But eventually, your character shows up. The truth always leaks through. People watch how you treat the waiter. They notice if you show up late. They remember if you promised and didn't follow through. It's the little things that build big trust. I remember one of my mentors said, Jim, people are always watching, not to judge, but to learn who you are. And he was right. Because your actions, they speak louder than any introduction. You don't have to tell people you're honest. They'll know. You don't have to announce your values. They'll see it in how you live, how you speak, how you decide. You want influence. Don't just work on your message. Work on your life. Because when people trust you, your words carry weight. You don't need to shout. You don't need to sell. Just say it, and they'll believe it. Because you've become someone they believe in. That's the secret to leadership. It's not in your strategic, it's in your stability. It's not in your charismatic, it's in your consistency. Now let me ask you this. Can people count on you? When you say, I'll call, do you call? When you say, I'll show up, do you show up? When you make a mistake, do you own it or hide it? Because these are the questions that define trust. Not how good you are at talking, but how well you back it up. And let me warn you, trust takes years to building and only seconds to lose. One dishonest act, one lie, one betrayal, and suddenly, all that effort comes crashing down. That's why I always say, be the person who would rather sleep peacefully with a clean conscience than wake up rich with a stained one. Because trust, that's something no amount of money can buy back. Let me give you something practical. 3 ways to become a person others trust. 1, be consistent. Do what you said you'd do, every time. Be predictable in your principles. 2, be honest. Not just when it's easy, but especially when it's not. Telling the truth builds credibility, silently but powerfully. 3, humble. Own your mistakes. Fix what you break. Apologize when you should. Because humility builds more bridges than pride ever could. In business, trust is what keeps customers coming back. In friendships, it's what makes people feel safe. In families, it's what builds legacy. Trust doesn't make you soft. It makes you strong. Because when people trust you, really trust you, you become irreplaceable. They say, I know I can count on him. She's solid. They always do the right thing. That's rare. That's powerful. That's what makes you stand out. The greatest gift you can give someone is not your time or your money, it's your trust. And the greatest gift you can receive is theirs. So protect it. Build it. Live in a way that your reputation walks into the room before you do. And your character keeps you there. Because trust, that's the real wealth. Let me tell you something most people never calculated. It's not the price of ambition that costs the most. It's the price of compromise. See, every time you lower your standard just a little, every time you bend your values just a bit, you're trading a piece of your future for comfort in the present. That trade always comes back with interest. Now don't get me wrong, life is full of trade-offs. That's how you grow. That's how you advance. But there's a difference between wise sacrifice and subtle compromise. And that difference, it's the line between excellence and regret. Here's what I mean. When you cut corners, when you tell that little lie, when you say, it's just this once, you think you're gaining something. Maybe it's speed. Maybe it's approval. Maybe it's money. But what you're really losing is your edge. One of my mentors told me, Jim, the worst deals you'll ever make are the ones that cost you your values. And he was right. Because when you violate your principles to get ahead, you might get there faster, but you'll arrive empty. And worse, you won't like the person you had to become to get there. Let me give you an example. You've been working hard. You've built a good name. And think a shortcut shows up. Nobody would know. Everyone else is doing it. You tell yourself, just this once. And you take it? Now maybe it gets you what you wanted, a promotion, a profit, a pat on the back. But inside, something starts to erode. And the next time it's easier to compromise. Then again, until one day you wake up and realize you've become the very thing you used to stand against. You see, compromise is a slow thief. It doesn't take everything all at once, just little pieces at a time. First your standards, then your confidence, then your reputation, then your peace of mind, and finally your self-respect. Now let me tell you something, there's no achievement in life worth the cost of your integrity. None. Because when it's all said and done, you have to live with yourself. Not just your bank account, not just your title, but your reflection. Can you look yourself in the mirror and like the person looking back? That's the real measure of success. I've always said, discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. And the same is true for compromise. Doing the right thing might cost you something now. Maybe money, maybe approval, maybe time. But doing the wrong thing, that costs you later, and believe the interest is steep. Now let's get practical. Here are 3 questions to ask before you say yes to anything. 1. Will I be proud of this decision in 5 years? If not, don't do it too. Would I do this if someone I respect were watching? If not, don't do it. 3. Would I want this decision printed on the front page of tomorrow's paper? If not, don't do it. Your character is a long-term investment. Don't cash it in for short-term gain. Remember, the world will tempt you to compromise. They'll say, be flexible. Don't be so rigid. Loosen up. It's how things work now. But let me remind you, principles don't go out of style. And the people who stand for something, they may not win every deal, but they win where it matters most. They win in peace. They win in influence. They win in legacy. So if you're faced with a choice, one path easy, the other right, choose the right one. Even if it's harder, even if it costs you, even if no one applauds you, because the applause fades. But the man or woman of integrity, they endure. You can't build a solid life on shaky values. So don't sell out. Don't sell short. And never, never compromise what matters for what doesn't last. Let me ask you a question when your story is finished. When the last chapter is written, what will people say about you? Not your income, not your titles, not the cars or the houses, but you, your character, your choices, your integrity. Because in the end, my friend, your legacy is not what you leave in your bank account. It's what you leave in people's hearts. See, success is not just about what you achieve. It's about who you become. And who becomes what people remember. That's what they carry forward. That's your real wealth. I used to think the goal was to make a lot of money. And that's a good goal, don't get me wrong. But over time, I learned something far more valuable. The greatest value in life is not what you get. The greatest value is what you become. Because money can be lost. Position can be taken. Fame fades fast. But your character, that lasts. It echoes through generations. It becomes the example. It becomes the standard your children follow. And your community remembers. Let me paint you a picture. You walk into a room after you're gone, and not physically, but your name comes up. What do people feel? Do they feel inspired? Do they feel challenged? Do they feel the weight of your integrity? Or do they just nod politely and move on? That's your legacy talking. Legacy is the shadow your life casts when you're no longer in the light. Now I want to remind you of something critical. You don't build legacy at the end. You build it every single day. Every choice, every conversation, every promise kept. Or broken, it all adds up. The way you lead, the way you listen, the way you treat people who can't offer you anything, that's your legacy being written, line by line. You see, there's a difference between reputation and legacy. Reputation is what people think about you now. Legacy is what they say about you when you're gone. Reputation is momentary. Legacy is eternal. So while everyone's busy building their image, you build your foundation. Because when the storms come, and they will, it's your foundation that keeps you standing. And that's built on character. That's built on integrity. Here's something to remember. The measure of your life will not be what you earn, it will be what you gave. Did you give your best? Did you give people honesty? Did you give them someone to look up to? Because when you do that, you leave behind more than success. You leave a standard. Now let me be real with you. You don't have to be famous to leave a great legacy. You don't have to be rich or powerful. You just have to be consistent. Consistent in your values. Consistent in your words. Consistent in how you show up when nobody's watching. That's the invisible work. That's the hard work. That's the legacy work. So I challenge you today, live in a way that your children, your friends, your coworkers can say, he stood for something. She never broke her word. They made life better for the people around them. Because at the end, we all leave something. The only question is, will it be worth remembering? Let me close with this: legacy is not about leaving something for people. It's about leaving something in people. And that something is formed by your character, by your discipline, by your integrity. So build wisely, build daily, and build something that outlives you. Because when you do, your life becomes a light long after the flame is gone. So let me leave you with this: success will come and go, but character stays. And integrity, that's the anchor when everything else shakes. Build your life on what matters. And one day, when people speak your name, they won't just remember what you did, they'll remember who you were. Make it count.